when we had Brian Kelly on a couple weeks ago, right, from Notre Dame, talking about his schedule that includes trips to Ireland, which, as we all know, has now been made a home game for Navy in Maryland. And then, it's kind of like a United Nations of schedules. Everybody's on it, right? It's like Pac-12's on it, Big Ten's on it, tons of ACC is on it. And I asked him about, the schedule and how trying to get some sort of uniformity of everybody, like what are the odds that everybody's going to be in and his schedule is going to stay intact. And he said, something along the lines of, we may have to play Navy, at Navy, but if the check clears, Western Michigan's going to be at our place. Didn't he say that, Chris?
He sure did. We both kind of looked at each other like, what?
Did he say? He said that if the check clears, Western Michigan will be here, is essentially what he said.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he's right. He's right. Look, they can say all sorts of stuff, but at the end of the day, that check's got to be there. And so they're gonna do this. They're gonna try. The issue, of course, can you finish?
Right.
That's going to be the question, right? What's going on in November? Anybody who can sit there and say, that Ohio State-Michigan game, 100% that's happening. 100,000 people in front of the horseshoe. They're lying to you. They don't know. Nobody knows that. I hope so. We all hope so.
Do we, though, Dan? Do we?
Easy, Dan.
The virus is not a big deal. I hope the virus is not a big deal and we get to watch Ohio State and Michigan play. I hope we come up with a cure. I don't know.
Me too.
Again, I'm not your virus guy, but I know talking to these ADs and these coaches, it's like, no, we got to do this. And they're going to try. So nobody can predict too far out, and it's why I say I think they're going to try to start. I don't know whether they can finish, but they're going to want to try to start. And, look, if there's a huge surge in July, maybe we don't start. But as it's going right now, and I'm not up on the infection rate percentages.
Right.
There's a lot of optimism that, we're going to do this. And Western Michigan's sitting there saying, if we don't get whatever couple million bucks we're getting from Notre Dame, how do we have X number of sports? How do we do this?
And I guess
so much of the Western Michigan budget is reliant on them playing Notre Dame. Brian Kelly's right.
Yeah, and I guess one more for you then, Dan. I appreciate it as long as you've given me right now. What about the future and the fact that if some conferences can't go or some smaller schools can't go, won't go, don't have the ability to go, do you think that this is there's a possibility that the Big Five may emerge from all of this as just a separate entity in college football? That the Big Five plus one, I guess Notre Dame, would be just a separate entity that they're just going to schedule themselves, and that's the end of that. And there's just going to be smaller schools, big schools, and they'll figure it out from there. Is that a possibility, do you think?
It gets a lot of attention as a possibility.
Right.
I just simply don't believe it's true, because what's the motivation to do that? Right now, if you want to talk Notre Dame, the Chicago Bears play 16 games, and 8 of them are at home and 8 of them are on the road. Notre Dame's not a good example because they play all these games all over the place, but whatever. They get 8 home games and 4 on the road. Michigan, let's take Michigan and the Detroit Lions. University of Michigan is playing 7 to 8 home games a year, 4 to 5 road games. Do you want to give that up to go 50-50? You're losing money. So they already get all the money from college football, almost all the money. And they can do it by having Western Michigan and all these other schools pretend that they're in their league. And they can fill up their stadium and make a ton of money. So there is a financial benefit to having these smaller schools. They have to share the basketball tournament revenue with those leagues, but they still get the vast majority of it. And the basketball tournament would not be nearly as popular without smaller schools as an underdog creating the kind of sweep up America sentiment. And you wouldn't have major markets in the Northeast and things like that, like Villanova and Georgetown, that matter, that boost you up. So right now, those 5 power conferences, and really it's 2 to 3 of them, and Notre Dame get all the money already. What's the motivation to kick Western Michigan out? They're not really draining you. They're actually making you money. So I just don't see it as a financial thing of saying, let's boot these guys out. because we're getting extra home games because of this completely ridiculous system we have going. And if we do NFL-style structure, now it's 50-50. We're not getting more, we're getting less home games.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.